Once you pick the type of printer you're going to print to, you need to pick the paper size. There are a lot of choices here. You have available right in this file an ANSI size. You also have architectural size, and you have ISO sizes as well. You have regular, and then you have full bleeds, etc. There are tons of choices. AutoCAD is about having choices. It's also about having too many choices, and it can be a problem. So this is going to just be a regular A-size drawing, 8.5 by 11. We use that here in the United States quite often, and so that's what I'm just going to use. Now we have to pick the plot area. What are you going to print out? So you have a few choices. The display, which will print just what you're looking at. So if I move this out of the way, what we see here on our screen, that's what's going to print. You can print to the extents. So as you can see the little preview right here, this is the extent of our drawing. Not real big, but it'll fit on the paper. You can pick a layout, and the layout is set up for an 8.5 by 11. It'll be whatever this paper size is. And then everything inside this area is what will be printed. Or you can pick a window. It depends on what you need. So windows are nice because let's say I just need this text printed. I can select it, and that's what's going to happen. Now hit your preview button, and it will show you what it's going to look like. See, that's all we picked for our window. When you're here, right-click, and you can plot right away, and this is what we'll plot. You can pan around or zoom, or you can exit, and that'll take you right back to your plot control window. I don't want to pick the window, so let's go with the layout. Now, different settings like the window or the extents are going to have this centering option. If you click it, it'll center it right into the sheet. Same thing with the window. It'll put it right in the middle. So then brings in the other setting, a scale factor. You can set it to fit to paper, and it will tell you the unit scale right here. Well, it's not 1:1, it's not 1:20, it's not, a 1/4 inch to a foot, whatever it is that you use for your scales. So be careful. So if you click it and then turn it back off, it keeps the scale that was there. You can just enter in the scale that you want to use. Then click up in another box and it will go. Now you can change it from inches or millimeters, depending on what you're using. And if you click here, you can get a different scale. Let's find the one you need. The majority of the times, though, you're going to set up what's called a page setup, and we'll look at those later on. And you're going to plot to layout, and you're going to plot a scale of 1:1 because you set up your viewports already because you're good CAD people and you did things properly. And so you're printing out your paper space tab at a scale of 1:1. All of the scaling will be handled by the viewport. Now, when you're plotting for model space, you're going to need to plot to some sort of scale because everything is drawn 1:1, and that won't fit on your paper. So you're going to have to, unless you're drawing something that's 8.5 by 11, in inches, long and wide. So that way you'll be okay. So once all of that is done, those are your basic settings. Pick your plotter, pick your paper size, pick your plot area, center it if you want. The layout will automatically be centered. Your scale, and once you're finished, just click OK. One other thing, though, you're going to want to look at, because let's look at a preview here. This is how it's going to print right now. This is what it's going to look like, assuming you have a color printer. Obviously, if you have a black and white printer, it won't matter what color settings you use. It's only going to come out in black and white. Right-click and exit to get out of here. But you do have one other setting that you can look at, and that's in pen assignments. If you click here, you can set it to none. And if it's set to none, then everything is going to be controlled here on your screen. The color will be printed to that color, the thickness will be printed to that line thickness, etc. But through your plot styles, you can control all of that. So if we go with AutoCAD, it's a CTB file, that will print out like this. Simple enough. The AutoCAD CTB file is a lot like the none setting, but it gives you some controls. Another one you may want to look at is grayscale. I bet you know how this is going to look, don't you? What? Why are they in color? because they're true color colors. We'll go over that in a little bit. If you go monochrome, what are you going to get? Same sort of thing. So you've got to be careful with your pins. You've got to know what you're printing out. Let's cancel this. And if you don't ever want to print, you've started the command, just cancel out at any time and nothing will print. These are set right here to true colors. If I activate the viewport, which is set up to be a circular viewport here, and I pick one of these objects, I'm going to lock this viewport so I don't screw it up. If I zoom into one of these objects, it's just a solid, it's a rectangle shape. You see the color here? It's set to 0, 192, 100. Well, that's a true RGB color. If I click here and I go to select color, we have these 3 different tabs for color. The one we typically use in AutoCAD is the index color. It has all 255 colors that are available to us. But each color has an RGB, or a red, green, blue setting of 3 different colors. These will print black and white, any of these colors that I use, if I choose the monochrome setting. But the true colors will always print to their true colors. So if you want to override a pin setting and you want something to print out red, then set the RGB to red. You can just move your mouse over and pick one of these colors, and you can see what it's going to look like here. You can adjust the slider bar till you get what you want, or you can type it in right here. And now we've turned that block red. Well, let's undo that and get out of here. Now, if we look at the AutoCAD color index, these are the regular AutoCAD colors. Let's try to plot these out. We have our printer set up already, the size. Okay, AutoCAD, let's do a preview. Okay, everything looks good. That's what we expected. Now let's switch to monochrome. There we go. Monochrome is just 2 different colors, black and white. There's no graying involved. It's black and white. So if there's an object, it's going to look black. So sometimes you need that. Sometimes it's just too much. If we go to grayscale, there we go. This is what your drawing is going to look like when you print it on a black and white printer. It'll be in shades of gray. So those are 2 differences in color types, AutoCAD colors and true colors. And depending on what you're trying to print out or what you need to do, will be what you want to do. Stick with AutoCAD colors unless you absolutely need to override a color for some reason. Then use a true color. We'll pick a setting, and then when you're done, click OK. And since I'm printing to a DWF file, I'm going to save this to the cloud. Give it a file name. You can browse to wherever you want to save it to, and click Save. And there you go. It saves your file. Now, if you printed to a printer, you should have a hard copy now. So let's recap. If you want to print, start the print command, pick your printer, paper size, the print area, any centering, scaling, your pin table that you want to print to, and then click OK. Preparing a drawing for plotting requires specifying many settings and options that define the output of your drawing. To save time, you can save these settings as a named page setup. You can establish and apply a named page setup to paper space layouts using the Page Setup Manager. Let's open up the Plot Screening and Fill Patterns file. This is just another color example file on how plotting works with different colors. We have different fill patterns that can be used in some of the plot settings. This is what they would look like. different grayscale settings. And if you screen things back, 100% screening means that there's none. 25%, 50%, and 75%. So the higher the percentage of screening, the less there is. I know it seems kind of backwards to me, but that's just the way it is. Now, when you go to print, as you saw in the previous section, there's a lot to do. And if you have just one drawing that you want to print out, it's not that big of a deal. I admit it, it's not. But what happens if you have a drawing set that has 50 drawings in it? Do you want to open up each file one at a time, go through all of those settings 50 times? I didn't think so. I know I don't. Well, there are a lot of ways in AutoCAD to streamline your printing tasks. One of the key ways to help you do that is with page setups. So to set up a page setup, it's actually quite simple. You can go to any existing tab, right-click, and go to the Page Setup Manager, right here in the middle. Now, you have a list here of all of the available tabs that are in your file. This is the one right here that we're actively on. So if we want to set up a page setup file, we can. Those will also be displayed here, but we don't have any. The items here with the asterisks on either side are your tabs that you have in your file. And it tells you which page setup is assigned to it. Well, we don't have any to assign to, so there are none. So we have to make one. Click New. We need to give it a name. It will default to Setup 1. If you have a Setup 1, the next one it will make is a Setup 2, Setup 3, etc. And you can create as many page setups as you need. I suggest you limit them as much as possible, but make sure you have what you need. If you have more than one type of printer, if you have a black and white printer or a color printer, set one up for each of those. If you need to print to 8.5 by 11, or an ISO 4 or ISO A, or whatever sizes you need, a big D size, a B size, whatever sizes you need to print, set one up for those so that all you have to do is select the setup you want to print to and click OK. Here we're just going to call it Setup PDF because that's what we want to print to. In fact, let's keep it even shorter. We're just going to call it PDF. Click OK. This should look familiar to you. This has all of your printer setup needs, but this is for a page setup. So we're going to predefine how we want to print. Since we want to print to a PDF, our device that we need to print to should be the PDF. I want an A size, ANSI A is fine. I want to print to the extents. Now let's print to the layout. So I'm going to print, and you can see when I move this out of the way, I can't see my drawing, but I want to print to that dashed line. That's the layout. We're going to print that. Scale is going to be 1:1 because we're in paper space. I will adjust my scale and manage the scale of my drawing through my viewport, and that's the preferred way. This one is set up to screening 100%. That's what we want to demonstrate on this, but I want to make a PDF. So I'm going to change it to acad.ctb. Everything else is okay. Check out my preview. There we go. It looks good. Hit exit. And then click OK. It didn't print. It just created this PDF setting. Since this is the one I'm currently at, this is what I want to use, and it gives you a bit of information right here. I can say Set Current, and now it's in parentheses. So what I want to print to is in parentheses. This is the tab, and we're good. Click Close. So now, when I go to Plot or Print, I can come up here to my page setups. Find the one I want to use, which is PDF. And since it's assigned to it, it's already there. I'm good to go. I don't have to do anything. I can click OK and save. And now I printed to PDF. And a lot of times you'll have settings for your PDF readers or your DWF readers to automatically open when you print to a PDF so that you can get a good look at it. This is what it looks like. I'm in Adobe Reader right now. And this is what my print is going to be. Now, if I send this to a client, coworker, a friend, or even my mom, she may want to print this out and hang up my drawing on her refrigerator. I don't know. But it's possible. Now, when you're in a PDF reader, which everyone can have access to and can print for free, they can just print it from there. That's a really cool thing. So now let's go to another tab. This one is set to screen back at 25%. Then you can right click, go to the Page Setup Manager. I can assign this one to it from right here if I want. Set current. Click OK. And now when I go to plot, it's all set up. All I have to do is say OK. Save the file, and it goes. And there we go. Because I didn't have the screening set for that particular plot style or page setup, it printed differently. But that's what I had it set up to. So did you see how much more quickly that was? I can come in here and I can overwrite any of these at any time as well. Even if it's set to print to the PDF, I can make a change here real quick and print to JPEG. You may have issues with custom paper sizes, but you can pick the one that you want to use and then print away. But having a page setup is a great idea. I can make another new one. I can make it based off of this. I can call it PDF screening 25%. Click OK. And instead of my AutoCAD CTB, I pick the screening 25%. Click OK. And now I have options. I have two different page setups. Let's set that one current to this page setup. So now it will print the way it shows on the screen. So the advantage of making page setups is that it will increase the rate in which you can print. You can have everything predefined in a template file so that when you start a brand new file, all of your page setups are already there. So you just pick the one you want to use and have at it. Printing can take a while. To help, we use page setups. So please use page setups. Once they're set, we can do what's called a publish, and we can publish several drawings at once. It allows us to print more than one drawing at a time and multiple copies of it. The best part is that you don't even have to open up all the drawings, or any of them at all, really. There's a publish manager that you can use, and you can open it up while in any file and have it print any tab from any drawing, regardless if you've opened it up or not. This is why we use CAD. So to start, just open up any file, even just a blank file. Then type the word publish on the command line, or go to the application manager and go to the publish right here and click it. This brings up the publish manager. I love the publish manager. It's my best friend when it comes to printing. So you can do a lot of different things with this. You can add drawings to it. You can remove drawings. You can change the order that they're printed in. You can collate them. You can set up the number of prints. You can print to paper. You can print to PDF. You can print to a DWF. You can do all of these things with just a couple of commands while you go and sip your coffee or tea or soda or whatever it is you like. So you have a lot of different things. When I started the command, it opened up the current file that I have open now and loaded it up in here. So it has three different tabs that it's trying to print. My model tab, and you can tell it's a model because, well, it says model. Plus it has this little AutoCAD symbol here. This symbol is for a paper space or layout tab page. I don't want any of these in here. So I'm going to select them all, just pick once. Now hold on to the Shift key and pick a second time, and everything in between those two choices will be highlighted. There's a plus and a minus here. That's to add or subtract drawings. I'm going to take them all away. Well, now we have nothing in here, so I'm going to add files. You can find something from your Autodesk 360, the cloud. I'm going to go to my Chapter 13 page, and I'm going to pick all of these files. Yeah, you can pick all of them you want. You can put a lot of different ones. Now you have a choice down here. I can include model and layout. I just want the layout tabs because that's where my drawings are. Otherwise, if I add just the models, that's not where my drawing is. That's where my model is. I don't want to print that out. I'm printing out my final set of drawings here. But I'm going to go ahead and load the model and layout so you can see some things. Pick select, and they're all automatically loaded in. Pretty cool. Now, some of these have 3D capabilities to them if you're working in AutoCAD, and you can print to a 3D DWF, which is really cool. But we're not doing that. So what I'm going to do is select these that I want to remove and just remove them. The smart thing to do would be to not load them at all from the beginning, but I wanted to show you what it looked like. So if you get something loaded in here by accident, that's okay. You can pick it, you can right click and you can say remove, or you can hold down the control key and pick one at a time and then hit the minus button. So this is the order that they're going to print in. This will be the first print, the second print, third, fourth, fifth, etc. Now this is what they're printing to, their default printer. Well, none of these have a page setup made in them, as you can see. So that's a problem. That's why it's so important for you to automatically create your page setups right away. That way you know exactly what they're going to publish to. So if these were all set up, I'd be done. I'd hit the publish command and I'd just go to the printer and wait for them to all come out. So all of these prints, all of these drawings, all of them here would be printed out and I don't have to worry about it. That's nice. Before Publisher came out, we had to open these up one at a time and print them out. And it was a very difficult task. So a lot of people came up with third-party applications that would batch print things for you. But now you don't have to. So once you have everything set up, you can look for page setups in the file. If you have one of these drawings selected, then you come here to the page setup and you can look for them. So well, I don't have any. That's okay. I can import one. If I click import, I browse to the file I want, I find the page setup I want to use, and I load it in there. Once I have one loaded in here, I can select all of these drawings all at the same time and make one change right here, if that's what I wanted to do. I can put down here the number of copies that I want to print, 2, 3, 4, 5, however many, 100 even. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to accidentally send out 100 of these to my printer. You can put a plot stamp on it. It will show you drawing name, layout name if you want, date and time, which is very important, device name, paper size, plot scale, whatever. It'll put a little stamp on it and you can see the preview. It's kind of hard to see, but it's right here. It's putting it at the bottom left of the screen. So that's nice. You can turn that off or on. The publish in background feature is kind of cool because what it does is it processes this printing job in the background. So your computer's multitasking and then it allows you to continue working in AutoCAD. I suggest staying away from that if possible because it's super slow when it does that because it's trying to do two things at once. And well, it does it, but it's painfully slow to continue working in AutoCAD that way. I suggest you don't. Just let it run, go take a break, just walk to the printer, get your prints, chat it up with the coworker, whatever you need to do. So you're going to print to whatever the default printer settings are, the way we have everything set up right now. But you can change that. I can change it right here. I can print everything to a PDF. So now I will make one great big PDF that has everything in it. So we can do that. And I want to do that to kind of show you what we're going to look like. Or you can print to DWF or just use the printer that's in the page setup. Now we have different options. If I'm printing to a PDF or DWF or some other electronic file type, this is the location where that file is going to be saved at. If it's a multi-sheet file, meaning I'm putting all of these drawings into one PDF, so it has multiple pages to it. Or if I want to create a unique PDF page or file for each sheet, I can do that. Typically, I've found that most people want to use the multi-sheet file and put it all together. It's a lot easier to manage that way. Now I can give it a name right here already, or I can prompt for name. I suggest you leave it at prompt for name, because otherwise you're going to have to manually set the name every time, and you don't want to accidentally overwrite a file. You can include or not include any layering information, because PDFs and DWFs can turn layers off and on. You can put a password on it if you want to protect it. Maybe you have secret files that you're making for the government spy agency and you don't want to fall in the wrong hands. You can put a password on it, etc. When you're done with that, click OK. Now, if you don't like the order of your files right here, you can select one or two and then click the up or down arrows, and that will move it down or move it up accordingly. Now, once you get everything set up the way you like it, you can save this. So if you're going to work on a job that you're going to have to print multiple times, why load it up? Why make all the settings the same over and over again? It's the same sort of thing with plotting and page setups. Why set up the printer every time? Set it up once, save it in a page setup. Get your publish list set up and save it. Click here on the save button. Give it a name, and these are called DSD files. We'll call it project publish. Save. All right, and now that's about it. Most everything else is good. We hit publish and we're done. I'm going to cancel this out. So, well, wait a minute, you didn't publish. Well, I'm going to show you, start the publish command, what I can do. Let's remove all of these. And now let's load our list that we just made. Project publish, it's a DSD file. Click load. Boom, it's all here. Everything's set up. I'm good to go. I didn't have to work hard at all, did I? Well, that's the point. Now I can hit publish, and we're going to make a great PDF. We're going to call this one Project Publish, and select. Now this could take a while, and this one's working in the background because I forgot to turn that off. But you can see it's working. If you look in the bottom right corner here, you see this little printer icon? It's moving. It tells you that there's a published job in progress. Well, now I'm working, so I can send this to the publisher for the client, and now I'm working for possibly another client. So I'm billing double time. So this is great. Now you do what you want to do there. But that's the publish command. And you can batch print a lot of different drawings all at the same time with little effort. Now, once your drawing or your publish set is finished printing or plotting, you'll get this little pop-up. It'll say, hey, look, I'm all done. And in the meantime, I was able to get some work done. While that was publishing, I paused the video here, and then I got some other files ready for our next section. So I was able to do two things at once. Now I want to show you the fruit of our labors. If we go to where our PDF was saved at, Project Publish PDF, you can see that it's a file that's about 1.8 megabytes in size. Let's open it up, and it will open up right in my Adobe PDF Reader, or whatever PDF Reader software that you have. Now we included our layer information, so you can see right here there are different layers that are involved. So I can turn some of these off or on, or I can just close this out of the way. But this is one of the drawings that we made. This is an AutoCAD TrueType font example file that we have. I didn't open it up before in any of the lessons, but I included it in here so that we had a different type of drawing to print out. This one's mostly text. But up here in my reader page, I can go through the different pages. I'm in 1 of 14. So I printed out 14 drawings to one file while I was working on something else. And that's a great trick. This is a sheet 2, sheet 3. Here's another drawing. And while I'm in here, I can zoom around, I can pan, I can look at a lot of different things. This one should look familiar to you. Sheet 4, 5, and how about this one? So I was able to do all of this while I did something else. Now that's a cool trick. So that's why you need to set up your page setups and then set up a publisher list file and save it. You can always reuse it for later printing. There are many ways to output your CAD drawing. One of them that we've looked at is to print to paper. The other is to output it to an image file, which we've also looked at. Many people use PDF files to share documents electronically. AutoCAD can do that. It can also plot to JPEG or JPG files, PNG, DWF, DWFX files, etc. JPEG and PNG are simply images that can be edited by programs like Adobe Photoshop or CorelDRAW. A DWF and DWFX file are image files from Autodesk that AutoCAD can reference and work with. Regardless of which of these file types you want to export to, the process is the same. In fact, we've already done that, but I wanted to go over it again. Let's open up a file. Let's go with our dimension example file. And let's put on something with some style. Now, when you want to print, just type in the word plot, click your print button up here, whichever one's easier for you to do. Right now, this file is actually set up to plot to or print to a DWFX file. It's a digital file. It can be opened up in Autodesk Design Review, which is a free download, and I suggest you download it and take a look at it if you didn't install it already when you installed AutoCAD. But as you can see here, you can export or print to a PNG file, a JPEG, PDF, a DWF, as well as your regular printer. Now, the process is exactly the same no matter which one of these file types you're printing to. The only difference is that a JPEG will ask you for not a paper size, but a pixel size. And you may have to pick that. It comes from right here. You can go 750 by 1050, etc. So it's going to depend on what you need to do. Set your scale, your plot style, and click OK. And then you'll have your JPEG, PNG, PDF, DWF, or DWFX file. Of course, if all else fails, you can just print to the printer. We've come a long way so far. For this chapter project, we're going to get our project template file ready to print and set up for a few layout tabs. So let's open it up. I've added a copy of where we should have been in the last chapter here in this chapter project, but use your file. Open it up. And so far, we've set up a few things. We've set up layers. We've also set up text styles. And we've set up dimension styles and a few other things. We've put in some blocks that we're going to use. Now we want to set it up to be able to print. So we should have one in here set up called D-size layout. This is a D-size drawing. D-size is an architectural size drawing that we use here in the United States quite often. Right now I'm going to have you rename that to dimension. So right click on the tab, select rename, and we're going to call it dimension. Press enter. Now we need to give it a page setup. Right click and go to the page setup manager. I really have no idea what type of printer you're going to be able to use, if any. That's okay. So we're going to set this up to print to a PDF file. Feel free, however, though, to set yours up however you want. And I am going to set one up later on for my printer, but the process is the same. So I'm just going to show you and give you a couple of options here. Now this file already has some page setups in it already. We have an architectural imperial, and we have a no output device. We don't want these in here because they're not going to work for us. So right click on it and delete. Let's go with this architectural imperial, which is not set up correctly. This one is set up for DWF. We're going to modify this one. Modify it. Instead of going to a DWF, and since I don't know what printer you're going to have available to you, I'm going to set it to none. It's set up to print a 24 by 36 sheet, and we also want it to go to a layout size so that it will define it as 24 by 36. Now, why would you want to set up a page setup with no printer? That's a great question. Well, in this case, which is a very special and unique case for us, I understand that. It's going to work out okay because it will set up the layout tab to a 24 by 36 inch size sheet. Click OK. And if I make that one current, click close. And now I have my defined print area. See, I have my border for my paper, which you can tell because it looks like paper. It's the white background and then has the gray field behind it. And then this is my actual title block. And I have my dashed line. And it's fitting inside that. Now, if it's not perfect, I can move that around. You can't really snap to anything, which is unfortunate. It'd be great if I could snap from here to there. But I kind of want to split the difference, so I'm just going to eyeball it. And for what we're doing, that's perfectly fine. I'm going to turn on my ortho command. That way I move it up perfectly straight and kind of eyeball the distance halfway in between, trying to center it on my sheet as best as possible. Okay, now that's set up that way. It won't print to anything, but you can go in and change your page setup and change that printer. Let's set up some more. We'll right click, Page Setup Manager. We're going to base it off of this one, but we're going to say New. We're going to just call it PDF. Click OK. Everything else you see is set the way we had it before, which is fine. except now I need it to be a PDF. So I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to go DWG to PDF. This is default with AutoCAD. So even if you don't have Adobe Acrobat or any other program that's out there, like a Cute PDF or a Nitro PDF, these are other free software versions that you can download that will allow you to print a drawing to PDF. AutoCAD comes with its own. And I typically use that one as opposed to the others because, well, it comes with AutoCAD, and to me it seems to handle them a little bit better. So we have our PDF set up here for our printing device. We're going to set this up to AutoCAD or acad.stb file. 24 by 36 layout, scale is good, portrait or landscape is what we want. Let's get a little preview. This is what it will look like. That's perfect. Right click, exit, and OK. So now we can print to some sort of printer. We can print to a DWF, and we can print to a PDF. Let's make one more, and I'm going to set it up for my printer. Click New. I'm going to call it My Printer. Now, my printer will only print an 8.5 by 11 size sheet. It's possible that that's all yours will do too, and that's okay. It'll give you that warning. Say, hey, look, buddy, you made a mistake. Okay, fine. And then it will go to a default paper size for you. If you click here, these are the different options that I have on this printer. Now, these are pretty typical options for an 8.5 by 11 inkjet printer. I have letter size paper available to me, so that's what I'm going to pick. Since we're going to create a 24-inch by 36-inch size drawing, that obviously will not fit on this letter size paper. So if I use layout, I'll give you a preview. That's all I'm going to get. That's wrong. So let's exit out. And this is a case where the extents really comes into play. So it will take the extent of my drawing. I'm going to center it, and I'm going to have it fit to the paper. So it's going to take everything, squish it down, scale it to whatever odd scale I need, and fit it in. So now when I do a preview, this is going to fit on my paper. It's not a perfect scale factor whatsoever. I admit that. But for what we're doing, it's okay. I can click on this fit to paper and then put in a scale, say 4. That will fit, as you can see on my preview. And it's a good scale that I can use, a factor of 4. So I can now put a scale on my drawing and scale some things, though I'm probably not going to want to because this is a real big reduction in size. It's a reduction of 4, 25%. So it makes it difficult. But that's okay. For what we want to do, I just want to show you how to do this and some things that you can do. And this is going to work. So I'm going to click OK. And I won't make that the default setting. I'm going to keep this one up here. And if you have access to a 24 by 36 size sheet, you can. But this is a real world example of things that happen. When we're at our architectural firms or our engineering firms, whatever design firm you work for, a lot of times you're making drawings on larger sheets and you're sending it to clients who don't have access to those size of printers or plotters. And so they have to reduce the drawings down in size to print them out. That happens, and it's something you may have to deal with. So just be careful and be cautious and just be prepared for it. I'm going to click Close, and that's it. We have now everything in our project template file. Once I hit Save, don't forget to do that. We have everything in here that we need, minus one thing, the actual drawing. So we are prepared. This is a template file. Right here, you've created and finalized your template file. You can start with this drawing now for anything you're going to do. And you have some blocks to use, which you can just continually add to. You have a title block that's ready to go, a viewport that's ready to go, lots of layers, lots of text, lots of dimensions. Now, all you need to do is draw. And that's what we're about to do in the final chapter. This is the final project. If you haven't gone through the chapter projects yet, please do so now. Many of these projects set up the file that you're going to use here. So you can't do the final project without doing the other chapter projects first. I'll be here when you're ready, but otherwise, let's get started. We'll start by opening up your project template file. Click Open. Now, first things first, let's save this file. You can save it over the top of your project template file if you'd like to. However, I suggest that you save it as something else. That way you have a base template file to use for any other new drawings that you want to start. So click on the application menu, save as, and I've already started one here called Project Template - Final, but you can call it whatever you'd like. Going to click Save, and for me, yes, I want to replace it. For you, it should just create the file. Give it a double look up here at the top to make sure you're in the proper file. Now we're going to make our model first. That's what this section is going to do. We've divided this up into a 3-part process. The first one here, which will probably be the longest, is where we're going to draw our line work. The second one, we're going to sort of tweak everything a bit. And then in the third and final phase of the project, we're going to annotate our drawing. Since we have everything set up in this file that we need, our layers, our units, etc. Let's give it a quick look here. We should be in architectural units, 1/16 precision, inches. All right, we're good. Let's set a layer. Let's make it current. We want to start working on the wall exterior. Okay, that's current. Now we're going to draw with a polyline. Start the polyline command. Type in P-line. Press Enter. Now we're going to draw a wall. It's our exterior wall, and we can really start anywhere. The coordinates won't matter so much in this process. So we'll just pick a point, any point, and let's get started. Let's turn on our ortho command. Remember, if it's off, then just hit it again to turn it back on. We're going to start our wall up this direction, and it will be 37 feet. Remember, we're working in feet and inches. Okay, here is the first part of our wall. Now, for most of this line, we're going to be able to just continually draw. Let's come across 16 feet, 8 inches, and come down 7 feet, 6 inches. Now, we've seen this drawing before. We've used it for a lot of different examples. So hopefully you're familiar enough with it to where you're going to get an idea of what it needs to look like. Just if you mess up, that's okay. Undo and then go back and start the video over and go through with this. Now we need to draw a 30-foot long section. And we're going to come down 22 feet. We're drawing the outside parameter of our wall. And on the rest here, we're just going to kind of match. We're going to come down if your O-snaps are on and your object tracking is on. Then you should be able to come here just fine. If not, draw a line straight down. Start the polyline command again, snap to the endpoint, come across, and let's use the fillet command. Radius set to 0. And there's our polyline. There's the outside of our wall. Remember to save as we work so we don't lose anything. Let's offset this wall 8 units or inches. And there's our wall. That's the outside of our building. Let's explode this because we're going to want to work with it. We left it as a polyline so that we can easily offset the interior part of that wall. Now we're going to explode it. This is going to allow us to work with the line work individually. And we're going to create some openings for the doors and for the windows. Use the offset command again. Let's go 1 foot, 4 inches. And we're going to offset from the top here. We're going to put in a doorway. That doorway is going to be 3 feet, 4 inches wide. And now we need to trim. So let's start the trim command. Throughout the process, I will use some of the commands in the ribbon, and I'm also going to use some commands on the command line. Now we select our objects to be trimmed. And I missed. It's all right. Restart the trim command and trim away. There's one opening. Now we need some more. Let's go offset 4 foot, 10 inches. I'm going to go from here down. I'm going to go from here down as well. Or here up. And now we want to offset again for 3 feet. Put a 3-foot window in here. And one in there. Now one more window about this wall, and we're going to make it 9 feet 2 inches away from here and from there. Now start the trim command, and let's pick all of this. We're going to trim all these guys and all of these. There we go. And save. It's a good practice to save early and to save often. You never know when there's going to be a power outage, your hard drive is going to fail, your computer will fail, or Autodesk will just crash, especially in a complicated file. This one's not so complicated, and if your machine's hefty enough, odds are you're not going to crash here at all. And that's good. And I haven't had more than 1 or 2 lockups or crashes in AutoCAD making these videos. So I'm feeling okay, but still, it's a habit that I've gotten into throughout my years, and I think it's one that you need to get into as well. Okay, so down here, we're going to put in another opening for a door. That's offset 5 feet 4 inches. Press enter, and we're going to come in this way from both sides. And again with a trim command. You're going to find that a lot of your tools that you're going to use to create your line work will be the line command, the polyline command, and then offset and trim. You're going to use those the most out of things that you're going to create. Throw in the occasional arc and circle, of course. We're going to make one more door, 4 feet from the end, offset again, and the opening will be 3 feet 4 inches. Start the trim command, and let's clean all this up. There is our external wall with all the openings for doors and windows. We're moving along quite nicely now. Now we're going to create some internal walls. So let's change our layer to the A-wall-interior. Make that one current. So draw the polyline again and pick here. And we're going to draw it all the way down to here. And enter. Offset 6 inches for the interior walls. Pick it and bring it in. Now let's offset again 12 feet. We'll come up here. Now let's use the extend command. Extend this line to there. And now we need to offset it 6 inches. Pick it and bring it down. Let's use the match properties command, MA. Press enter. Select the source object that we want to copy. Now the destination. And there we go. Let's offset some more. Let's go 1 foot 4. Bring that over here. Offset 3 foot 4 inches. That's going to be a doorway. Let's offset again, 12 feet. Enter. Let's draw a line here from the midpoint of this line. Draw it out just arbitrarily, as long as it crosses through there. Offset it 3 feet. One up top and one down below. Okay, now we're going to need to match the properties again of this wall to these 2 lines. Now, let's trim. And I've saved the trim command till the last, after I drew all these lines in, so that I can do one trim command and get all of these together. Trim those 2. Get rid of all of these. That one. Here, here. And there. And let's erase that one. Okay, so we have our exterior wall and our interior wall. Now we want to hatch one of our walls. So let's change our layer again, go A-walls hatch. Start the hatch command. Let's type in hatch. Press enter. And the hatch settings that we want to use are pretty specific. I want to use the ANSI 131, which is right here. I want to use it at 30 degrees and a scale factor of 10. We'll see if we need to make those adjustments later. But we're going to pick points internally. We're going to pick this wall here, all the exterior walls. A boundary can't be determined. That's okay. We'll figure this out later. You see those little red circles? It says right there and right there that there's an opening that it can't figure out. Sometimes it's fine, and you just need to do it again. Sometimes when you zoom in really close, it messes things up. For whatever reason, AutoCAD can't figure it out. So just zoom out and try again. And there we go. Those are our hatch patterns. But I don't like that scale. I want to change it a little bit. Let's change it to 20. It's a little better. When you're finished, press Enter. Okay, we need to do one more thing. We need to put in one more wall. Let's go offset 2 feet, press Enter, pick this line, and there's our movie screen. Only it needs to be on an interior wall. So we'll do a match properties and go. Many times it's even easier to use the match properties command to get the line work to look the way you want it to than it is to constantly have to set and reset your current layer before you draw new line work. Once you put something in on a specific layer, the match properties layer is real easy to use, just a few clicks, and you can get your line work the way you need it to. Okay, so now we've created the majority of our model, the majority of the line work here. Next, we're going to put in some of the blocks and use the array command. We've broken down the final project into 3 different sections to help simplify the process for you. The first step we did was to draw the majority of our line work here. Open that up if you've closed it. Right now we have the exterior walls and the interior walls, the movie screen, and some hatching drawn in here. Now we need to add the doors, the windows, some chairs, and some plants around the outside. So let's set the door layer as current. It's A-doors, it's yellow. We want to insert our door block that we added in an earlier chapter. So use the insert command, find door imperial. Click OK. And we're going to put a door here, here, 2 doors here, and then 2 doors here as well. Then one over on the other side. So we may have to flip some things around to get them to work the way we want, but that's okay. Because remember, this is a dynamic block. So let's select it, stretch it out, and let's flip it over. Let's adjust it to the end. And if it's not quite right, you can use the rotate command. Pick this point and rotate it minus 90 degrees in this case. Door doesn't quite fit all the way for this size wall, but that's okay for what we're doing. So we have this one set up. Let's just copy it. Select your base point here, and we're going to put it in right here. And it's the proper width. So continue with the copy command. Pick your block. Let's put one here. Put one there. And again, one here. And one on the other side. Now we have our blocks in everywhere they need to be. We can flip our doors. We can move it to the right spot. And now we need to change the widths. Let's go 3 foot on these double doors. Those are in. Let's do the same thing here. rotate anything that needs to be rotated. This is -90. Flip them around. Move it to where it needs to go. And we'll change the width to 3 feet. Those doors are set. That door's set. Okay, we're good. Let's save our file. And now let's put in the windows. Pick the A-Windows layer. Start the Insert command again. And let's find our windows. Click OK. We're going to put one here. My O-snaps are doing crazy things. I don't like the way they're running. So let's turn them on. I'm going to select everything, turn off the nearest and the parallel. Click OK. Remember, you can set those at any time. But now I have to restart my Insert command with my window. Put it in the middle. Let's rotate it 90 degrees. And it's at the proper width. It's not quite where I want it though. I want it right in the middle of the wall. There we go. Now we can use the copy command, pick a point, and let's put in some more windows. That one's good. That one's good. And so is that one. All right. We did forget a door. We forgot to put one here. That's okay. We can go back, start the copy command, grab the door, and insert it. We grabbed it from the wrong spot, as you saw. That's okay. We'll just move it again. Double check everything else is good. All right, now we need to put in some chairs. So we want to be on the chair layer. So let's set that to current. And let's insert our chair. I don't like the way this is going to come in. I want the back of the chair to be on the left side. So we're going to rotate it 180 degrees. Click OK. And we're going to put it in right here. Simple enough. Now let's use the array command because I want to put in a whole bunch of chairs. I'm going to select this chair right here, press enter, and I want to have 5 columns and I want to have 5 rows. Now we want the total between the chairs to be 4-foot columns by 4-foot rows. So I'm going to type in 5-foot columns, 4-foot rows. That's too big for our room, as we can see as we're working on the design. So let's shrink this down to 4 feet, and we'll shrink the distance between them to 3 feet. It's nice and tight, but it'll work. And that's why you use the array command, because it's very easy to make those adjustments on the fly. Let's close that. We're going to move these. Since this is an array, we can center it. Well, how are we going to center this in the room? I'll show you a little drafting trick. Let's draw a line, and we'll go from one corner of the room to the other. Snap to that endpoint. Snap to this endpoint. Now, the middle point of this line is the middle of the room. So if we use the move command on this array, press enter, and if we grab the middle of the back of this chair and we move it to the middle of the line, they're pretty much centered. Back them up just a little bit. Grab the midpoint of this, and we're going to put it on the midpoint of this line here. There we go. And that's what's cool about the associated arrays, because it works together as one unit. almost finished with this part. See, we've created this drawing from nothing, and now we have line work for our walls, our windows, doors, and the chairs. Let's do some landscaping around the outside. Let's add our plants. Remember that plant that we made? Well, let's put it on plant layer, make that one current, and let's insert a plant. We made the plant big leaf. Click open, and let's just put some here and there. Now that we have one in, we can copy it. Grab it from the center of that circle, turn off your ortho command, and we'll just put some in various places. Something that would look nice around the building. Don't block the doors or else people can't get in. So we'll move this one, put it over here, and there you go. And there's your drawing. All that's left now is to annotate it. Well, this is the last project. When we are done here, you will have created your first AutoCAD model and drawing sheets. So open up your project file and let's start working in it. Go to the Dimension tab. Make sure that the text layer is your current layer. We're going to put some text inside our title block. Now, this block isn't set up for good attributes, so we're going to have to insert our own text. Go to the Annotate tab, pick the multi-line text. Pick a point here for project name and create a window. You can do it in all caps if you like, or you can do it in lower caps. I'm going to put mine in all caps. I'm going to give this a name. I'm going to call it Movie House. Well, this isn't really tall enough, so I'm going to change the style that I've used for it. Don't want it to be notes, I want it to be title. And let's put it in a different justification. I'm going to make it middle center, that way it centers it inside our area. And there we go, that's good. And let's put in some more notes here. You can put in the day's date. Mine is May 25th, 2012. I'm going to also put in the scale for our drawing. Scale is going to be 1/4 inch to a foot. Now, I'm going to turn off this auto stacking because it's going to stack our fractions up, and I don't want it to do that. This is the way I want it to look. 1/4 inch equals 1 foot. And now this is going to be sheet 1. Let's justify this with the middle center. And let's change the style again to a title. There we go. Now we know a little bit about it. Let's add some basic dimensions. Let's make sure that our current layer is the dimension layer. We're going to use the dimensions layer with an S. Go back to the Annotate tab and make sure we're using the architectural project style, and we'll put in some basic dimensions. Dimension our walls. Just some overall bits of information. Remember, let's use our continuing here. I don't want a dimension from there, so I'm going to select this one, and I'm going to put a dimension to the end here. And we'll put in one more overall dimension here, and here. When you're dimensioning, you'll do a lot of zooming in and zooming out and panning. Give a double check of some of our dimensions, make sure they look okay, make sure we did it correctly, and that looks good. So there's a drawing. It has the movie house. It has some overall dimensions. That's a valid drawing. Make sure you save your work. And let's make another drawing. Right-click on the Dimension tab and say Move or Copy. Now we want to copy it. So check the create a copy and then move to end because we want to put it at the end. That really won't matter. Click OK. Now click this dimension tab. Now this one we want to be called dimensions. So we're going to rename it. But we also want this one to be renamed as well. So let's rename it. And let's just call it overall. You're going to find out that this is going to happen. You'll have an intention for a drawing and then it sort of changes throughout the life cycle or lifetime of a project. That's okay. Let's go here and we're going to rename this one dimension. Double click inside this viewport. Make sure it's locked. You see the scale is at 1/4 inch equals a foot. Let's go to the home tab and let's freeze our plants and our chairs. Press enter and let's go back to paper space. Now let's throw on a lot more dimensions because right now we really don't know what's going on. So we're going to need some room here. Select our dimension here and let's drag it out some more. Now we saved ourselves a lot of time by copying this tab. We had a drawing set up. We went to a lot of work and effort to set everything up. So why go to that effort again? We just copy it and it makes another totally brand new drawing based off of the other one. So we can use the features that are already set up, the information that's put into our title block, and everything else that's there. We don't have to redo the things that are redundant. So for now, we can see movie house. So everything else is the same, except now this is, double click the text. It's now sheet 2. We can even add to the title, movie house, dimensions. Let's finish adding in the rest of our dimensions. We'll start here and we'll dimension to here. I want to show where all of our walls go. We'll use our continuation here and we'll put in our windows. Now, you see how easy this is? It's cutting down my clicks in half by using the continuation method. I don't have to pick my first point. I can just pick my second point and it keeps going and it builds up on top of each other. Let's do the same sort of thing here. And we'll use the continuing option one more time. There we go. We'll throw in some dimensions for the internal walls. And we'll do one here as well. With my running O snaps, it gives me the ability to draw very quickly. I don't have to type in what I want to dimension to. And there we go. Let's dimension down here one more time. And continue. And you've probably noticed that we do a lot of the same thing over and over again. And that's true. You're going to find out that that's fantastic too, because the tools in AutoCAD are made to help us do the same things over and over and over again, but with fewer steps. If we were drawing this by hand, there's no way we could draw this all out this quickly. Nor could we reproduce a second identical drawing in order for us to just quickly do some things differently. But there you go. There's your project. You worked very hard to do this. You learned how to use these different tools, how to draw your line work, how to manage it in model space, and how to create your file one step at a time until you can finally make this whole project. So you can start with what you have here and sketch up some dimensions around your house. Take measurements on the outside, on the inside, and you can draw a complete floor plan that's completely accurate of your house with everything that you've learned here today. Maybe you want to go build a project, a birdhouse, a dog house, or extend on to your own house. With the tools you've learned here today, you can do that. Congratulations, and thank you very much. Hello, my name is Brian Benton, and I am the author of this training video. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch these videos and for investing in your AutoCAD training. Learning to use AutoCAD will be a great step in your career. AutoCAD is a highly complex program used by thousands of people around the globe and is the industry standard for design software. I've been using AutoCAD since release 10, when it used tablets, pucks, a stylus, and was even in DOS. It's changed quite a bit over the years, but the fundamentals are still very similar. I began my career as a drafter, redrawing old board drawings into CAD for a railroad tank car manufacturer. I've also worked for mechanical engineers, structural engineers, civil engineers, and even a marine engineering firm. This career has spanned nearly about 20 years. Along with my design drafting experience, I have an associate's degree in design drafting. I've spent many hours creating CAD standards and procedures at several of the places that I've worked for. I'm a member of the ADDA, or the American Design Drafting Association, the SWFAP, or the Southwest Florida AutoCAD Professionals Organization, and AUGI, which is the Autodesk User Group International. I've been very involved with AUGI throughout the years as a volunteer. It's a volunteer organization that consists of Autodesk product users like you and I, and we work together to help each other to get better. As a member of AUGI, I contribute as a writer for their magazine AUGI World and have served as the AUGI World AutoCAD Content Manager. I've also written many articles for their monthly online newsletter, AUGI Hot News, and currently I'm serving as the AUGI Hot News Production Manager. I've also created and led classes for their AUGI online training program. I've been fortunate enough to work with great CAD people throughout the years, like Ellen Finkelstein in updating her book, The AutoCAD 2010 Bible. And I'm also currently a contributing author and co-author with George Omura in his book, Mastering AutoCAD 2013 and AutoCAD LT 2013. One of my most exciting projects was working for Autodesk to create new sample content for AutoCAD 2010. I created the new templates for their initial setup procedure, new dynamic blocks that still ship with AutoCAD today, and they take advantage of the parametric design abilities that were added in that release of AutoCAD. I've also created sample drawings that are available online through Autodesk's website. My writing has also included several articles for Catalyst magazine and some of their various blogs and other venues. I currently write a weekly newsletter for Catalyst called Tips and Tricks Weekly. This newsletter reviews tips and tricks sent in by the Catalyst readers themselves. This column reaches well over 30 to 40,000 members every week, plus online members that read it there. I enjoy writing and speaking about AutoCAD and related topics. If anyone would like to contact me with a question about this training series specifically, or any other AutoCAD-related question, please feel free to contact me. I've put my contact information right here on the screen. You can go to my website at cadablog.com. You can email me. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and even on Google+. Feel free to comment on any of my posts, sign up for alerts, or ask me a question. I hope you enjoyed this training video and that you've been able to learn quite a bit from it. Thank you very much.